We become as one body where every part is necessary for the successful working of that body. Then God is going to impact on this community. I want to tell you it happened in Las Vegas. God raised up the most incredible people who started to come a-knocking on the doors of that church just because we let him love us and we grew to love one another. That love began to flow out into the community. How would you feel, pastors? As I felt. Sitting in my office one Monday morning and a knock at the door. I opened the door and a man stood there, stuck out his hand. Great big tall traffic cop. I'd heard him roar up on his motorcycle. My secretary had stuck her head through the door and said, "I think he wants you." I said, "Why me? Is my reputation that bad? A traffic cop?" I didn't need another ticket anyway. Stuck out his hand, "My name is Guy Earle, and I'm a Southern Baptist. In fact, I'm the elder of the large Southern Baptist church in town." Well, I said, "Nice to meet you. I'm Bill Liversidge. And I'm naturally a Seventh-day Adventist sitting here in the church office." He said, "I know. I've got a question for you." "Well, shoot." He said, "I want a straight answer on this question, yes or no. Don't equivocate. Give me a straight answer." Okay, if it's possible, not always possible, is it, to give a yes or no answer? Okay, he said, "My wife, who's the church treasurer, and myself, the leading elder, we would like to become members of your church this Sabbath." This was Monday morning. I said, "This Sabbath." "This Sabbath," he said. "Now give me that straight answer." I said, "Well, you've got to remember that I'm accountable to a board in this church. I don't operate unilaterally here." He said, "Are you trying to equivocate?" "I want a straight answer." Okay, I said, "I'll give you a straight answer." "The answer? What would you say?" "The answer is yes." And then I couldn't help but add, "if you qualify." He said, "Did you have to say that?" I said, "I'm sorry, I had to say that." "Well," he said, "why don't you find out if I qualify?" "Oh," I said, "don't worry, I'm planning to." We sat down. You know what I did? I've never done this before. I took out a baptismal certificate. I didn't look at that little summary of beliefs. I turned to the inside of the baptismal certificate. You know how detailed that is. And I started going through. Well, that was the day that my mind was really blown. We've been keeping the Sabbath for 6 months. At home, looking for some other people who may be keeping it. I said, "Really?" Oh, he said, "By the way, we've been paying tithes regularly now for some time." Oh, he said, "We're committed health reformers. My wife is teaching other families in the community the delights of vegetarian living." I said, "Go on." We went through the doctrines. I couldn't fault this man. Finally, with a grin, he said, "By the way, we've been reading now for the last several months a beautiful morning devotional." I said, "Please tell me the name." Well, he says it's called Christ's Object Lessons. I said, "Listen, there's something fishy about you. You couldn't have found all this out just on your own." He grinned and he said, "Well," he said, "I'm a ham radio operator." I said, "Yes." And he said, "Every morning the Adventists on the West Coast, they have a Bible study between themselves on the ham radios." I said, "Yes." And he said, "We've been listening in." He said, "The only person we've contacted is a man who lives right up in northern Nevada. in Fallon, Nevada. We've called him several times on the radio when we've had questions that we couldn't understand, and he's been very kind, but we've never met him. But he said, I want to tell you something. We approached our Southern Baptist preacher this week, and we told him that we cannot do anything but become Seventh-day Adventists. Will you have us this Sabbath? And he said, by the way, we are not seeking entrance by baptism. We are seeking entrance by profession of faith. I said, will we have you? We would love to have you. This man was gifted as a teacher, just the man we needed in the church at that time. As I was continuing to talk with him, there was another knock at the door. I'd had enough shocks for one morning, and the door opened, and a man and his wife were standing there. I'd never seen them before. Stuck out his hand. He said, my name is Carl Anderson, and this is my wife, Marlene. I said, yes. He said, we don't know why we're here. I said, hallelujah. I said, what do you mean you don't know why you're here? Well, he said, it's a long story, but we come from a little town way up in northern Nevada. Oh, I said, tell me the name of your little town. Well, he said, you probably haven't heard of it. It's a place called Fallon. I had to pull up a chair by this time. I said, are you a ham radio operator? He said, how did you know? I said, do you remember talking to a man and his wife in Las Vegas who were seeking answers to Bible questions? Oh, sure, he said. We spoke many times to those people. I said, well, come in and meet him, please. What a beautiful reunion that was. Carl and Marlene had been asleep in their home the night before when the Lord woke them up, and he said to them, get down to Las Vegas. I have something for you to do down there. They drove 400 miles, arrived at my office while that man was sitting right there. What a reunion we had. Carl and Marlene, by the way, got so excited for the Lord. They spent a couple of months there working with us, and the Lord called him into full-time ministry. He's now the associate pastor of the Keene Church in Texas. Beautiful couple. Does the Lord work like that? We took that man and his wife into our church. They became the strongest, most ardent people in the church. His gift of teaching was so beautiful. We didn't have to leave him, by the way, for a year or two to prove him before we trusted him with a job. We immediately put him to work. He knew the Bible better than most of our own people. It was a beautiful experience. I am challenging you people. Give the Lord an opportunity to do what he wants to do. He will raise up these people in your community. Do you believe it?